Hello, welcome to the KieLive number 32. And this time we're here to talk a little bit more about use cases and more specifically about the clinical decision support, which we will deep dive into. We have a specialist who is Mark Mangas, and he's with working with this stuff for more than like 30 years. So if you want to know more about the healthcare use cases that you can apply these solutions that we'll talk about today, you can talk to this guy. He will be here with us during the whole session. And we also have Rashid, who is a specialist solution architect who has been working with business automation and decision automation for many years, like more than 10 years. So let's see how we can actually use both decision automation, process automation, AI ML capabilities, and some other technology enablers to get these use cases sorted out. So let me bring first Marcus to stage. Hey, Marcus, welcome.
Hey, thank you. Glad to be here.
Thank you for accepting the invite. And Rashid, hey, Rashid, I like your t-shirt.
Hi, Karina. Hi, Mark.
So, guys, I just gave a brief, short introduction about our topic today because I didn't want to take too much time. I would like you to share what people can expect from this conversation today.
So the idea here is to give you give you an idea about the different use cases that the business automation technology can solve. And for this first session, we're going to talk about healthcare and clinical decision support. I'm not a healthcare expert, so I'll let Mark talk about all the healthcare specific things. A technology guy, and today I will show you how we can use our technology to enable a clinical decision support.
Thanks, Rashid. What I would just add from the healthcare context is you might not immediately associate Red Hat with healthcare when you think about technology solutions, but I'm new to the company, and one of the things that brought me to Red Hat is our ability to really change the game in healthcare in terms of having an integrated technology suite that can handle a lot of different use cases. Particularly around in North America, we have to worry a lot about government mandates, and I know other countries do as well. But this year, especially, some of these mandates are hitting, and if we don't share information the way that we're supposed to, for example, we get penalized. And these are all things that relate to business automation, and they're all things that we can help with.
Wow, awesome. So, if you have any questions, you feel free to share it on the chat, and I'll make sure to bring to these guys, okay? So, Rashid, I will share your screen right now, and you can start the presentation, guys, okay?
Great.
So, stage on for you, Mark.
Great. Well, thanks. I'll kick us off here just for a few minutes. My purpose is just to set a little bit of context before we kind of jump into the cool bits and bytes and see the technology in action, which Rashid will do wonderfully. I've seen it. So what we're trying to do, whoops, we lost it. Okay.
Sorry.
What we're trying to do really is align ourselves with the technology drivers and the business drivers that are happening in healthcare. And universally, globally, doesn't matter if you're North America, EMEA, Latin America, improve quality of care, lower costs are top of mind, right? And what we're trying to do is accomplish that through better engagement with the patients, clinicians, and partners, really the whole ecosystem. We're constantly having to wonder and worry about regulations and compliance. That's universal. And what the leadership is also trying to do is constantly come up with innovative solutions to these problems where they can jump ahead of the competition, cut their time to market, and increase their return on investment. Next slide.
Yep.
So the response from the technology department to these leadership concerns really are to put these initiatives and practices in place, right? Things like agile innovation, things like IT modernization. Healthcare typically is way behind the curve in terms of technology adoption, cloud adoption, things like that. Hyper automation is a concept I'm going to talk more about in just a second. But connected health, making sure that all of those ecosystem partners I talked about before are connected and can share information is crucial, and it has to be secure. And what we're going to talk about today, which is clinical decision support, in our view, is part of clinical reasoning. I'm going to explain more about that. Open standards are key, right? The FHIR standards, being able to create process standards that span the organization and allow different business units and partners to interact. And then the leveraging and use of open source platforms is becoming more and more critical, not just because of the low cost of entry, but because that's where the innovation is happening. Technologies like Kubernetes, Cogito's, my friend Rashid's shirt says, these things are happening kind of out on the front line, if you will, of the open source community. And Red Hat is the company that allows you to take advantage of those things from an enterprise perspective, where you can count on it 7 by 24 by 365 in a secure fashion. Next slide. So what makes us different? Why would you talk to Red Hat about healthcare solutions and technology? We're really the only company out there that has this completely integrated suite of technology for process automation, IT automation, decision management, and machine learning. All of these things run on OpenShift. They all use a common set of APIs, and they all interact. So when you want to use machine learning, you can use the right tool for the job, right? You can set up your mathematical model, your deep learning, train your, or choose your data set, train your model, and we will support you. But when you just need to do decision support, or you just need to automate your infrastructure, move data from place to place, that kind of thing, we got you covered there as well. So this is really a key consideration, because what I've seen out there in the field is people try to, machine learning is kind of the new shiny object, and everybody tries to implement it for everything. And it's really not the appropriate tool to do a lot of the work around clinical pathways, for example. When you're doing decision support at the point of care, sometimes you need DMN, or sometimes you need a process optimization tool. And we have all these tools. And as I said, they all interact. Next slide. So this is my last slide, and I'm going to turn it over to Rashid. But what I wanted to leave you with is kind of our point of view at Red Hat for healthcare. And all of these technologies interact in the landscape that we call clinical reasoning. And all that means is, whether you're doing rule authoring, you're creating process automation for complex events, you're doing IT automation, all of these things are part of a suite, and they're part of driving those outcomes that we talked about before, increasing positive outcomes for patients, decreasing costs, increasing quality. And we have the tools, whether it's in directly from Red Hat, or whether it's from one of our partners, as is the case with AI modeling and learning. We've integrated several different tools, and they fit right into our suite and into our flow. And we can help you with the entire ecosystem, and looking at this as a holistic solution. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Rashid, and he's going to actually show you the gears turning and some of these things working in a real environment.
I'm muting myself. Thanks, Mark. So first, I'd like to share with you a reference architecture where all those CDS and clinical reasoning technologies fits together in a reference architecture. So first, we besides these reference architectures, we need the right roles and persona within an organization to work within these architectures. In an agile way, work seamlessly, ideally in practices like DevOps, or what we call biz DevOps, or if we can extend it to security, we can call it biz dev sec ops. So all those people collaborate together in order to uh, model clinical processes, model decision services to provide clinical decisions, things like constraint solving as well, and resource planning. So we are able to build and model solvers for this kind of applications. We need as well tunings and platforms for to analyze data and for creating predictive models, and that's fits in this central layer, what that we call CDS, clinical reasoning. So we find the open data hub for all the predictive analysis and collaboration to build those predictive models, and doing this metadata management in order to create predictive models that can be used within another tool called Red Hat Process Automation Manager, also known as in the community as JBPM, Drools, OptaPlanner, and now Cogito project. So all those technology will provide ways to model clinical processes and clinical pathways, uh, even as well business processes, like to support day-to-day operation in a healthcare organization, hospitals, and so on. And we need decision management as well to build those decision services. We're gonna see in a few examples in the next slides, and as well resource planning and optimization. So this central layer require an integration layer that would help us collecting data, integrating with other systems in a various way. I mean, providing as well a way to exchange data using messaging or streaming, and storing data in caches, for instance, and as well creating some transforming data in certain format. Mark told you about the different standards that are used in healthcare. So, for instance, the FHIR standard, which is something that is now a requirement in healthcare in the United States to exchange healthcare data between different organizations and facilities. So we need this integration layer to transform payloads and messages into the FHIR notation to store them into the EHR server. API management as well to open channel of communication with external entities, government, insurance, labs, and so on, in a secure and controlled way. We as well need a layer to provide the security. So here we introduce Red Hat single sign-on that you might know as well as KeyCloak, Red Hat Ansible and Insights to do the auditing and governance and to ensure that compliance around GDPR in Europe or HIPAA in the United States are met. And the backbone of all of this is our container platform, Red Hat OpenShift, that can be run on any cloud and hybrid cloud as well. So this presentation is about presenting the enablers around CDS. So the first enabler is decision management. The second one will be the process automation technology. And the third and last one is our resource planning and optimization. So let's start with the first enabler. So the first enabler is the decision management technology that we offer in our tooling. So decision management is about providing an easy and manageable single source of truth repository to store clinical decisions. So those clinical decisions could be policies or therapy guidelines, regulation as well, or protocols. That can be codified in a way to separate them from the actual application code, so they can have their own life cycle. And non-technical users, such as clinical informatistic, can easily change them and update them without the need of a developer. And of course, the last objective is to automate those decisions and deploy them as a service, to use them within other application or other processes. So we offer two ways two options to build your decision management solution. The first one is called DRL based, and the second one is the DMN based. So the first one is it's a much mature approach, and it's largely adopted and used. So it's based on Druze. Druze is a rule engine that exists for more than 20 years now. We offer a multitude of authoring tools. We can embed predictive decisions using BPMN models. We can use it to solve complex event processing problems. There's a community called OpenCDS that provide DRL-based logic, CDS logic that you can reuse here. Now, DMN is the most standardized approach. So DMN is a notation from the object management group. So it's a visual notation. And we offer this a tool to create visually those models, and as well a runtime. The main advantage is that the standard is portable. You can model it in a first vendor tool and run it in another one, as long as the compliance is met. We can as well embed predictive decisions, and there's an initiative as well by the object management group called BPMN plus BPM Plus Health that group, share and collect CDS logic and artifacts using the standards. Here, the standard is DMN, but we're going to see in the next enablers with the BPMN for the process, for building process, clinical processes. So let's start with, let's do a demo now. This demo is about creating or modeling what we call the LACE score. So the LACE score is about identifying patients that are at risk of readmission or death within 30 days of boarding or discharge from an hospital. Okay, so number of readmission, hospital readmission is a very important KPI in healthcare. It's used to rate the quality of care of hospitals. So it's very important to use such toolings to ensure and mitigate the readmission of patients. So in the past, they used this let's say paperwork. When a patient arrived to hospital, they need to collect some data, and they will manually figure out the LACE score. But now we are able with toolings like DMN to create easily such decision service. So for that we need as an input those kind of information. So the length of stay in the hospital, if the patient was admitted via emergency, the list of conditions, the number of emergency visits in the last 6 months. So those information could be collected from a FHIR server and then provided to the decision service.
Rashid,
Yes.
before you move on with this demo, I'd like to ask a question here, because like you say that this is the LACE score. I wonder if this is a thing that is shared across all the organizations, or if each organization have its own, because I mean, would it be a need to reuse these files? How can we work with this stuff? So I also brought Mark because he might be able to add something there.
So I don't know how, I mean, if the LACE score is used in every hospital. So maybe Mark can answer this. But it provides this indicator to help reducing the number of readmissions, which is very important it's very important KPI to qualify the quality of care.
Yeah, most hospitals, especially emergency departments, use something similar, if not this specific score. So the process that we're going through to kind of define this score, and scoring in general, is a very common pattern in DMN type operations. But yeah, it's a very common approach to assessing a patient, giving them a score, and then moving them on through the process. In fact, one of our customers, HCA, implemented a sepsis protocol using DMN, Ansible, and some other tools to try to catch sepsis earlier in the patients that come in, and they were actually able to do that 8 hours earlier, which is crucial. As you know, sepsis can run away with a patient, and they can die if they get the infection. It can't be stopped, right? So they're able, over the last couple of years, I think the last count I saw is they had saved 8,000 lives by implementing this protocol. So this is serious stuff. I mean, we talk about it in terms of technology, but this can really affect people's lives just by providing a level of consistency and a level of standardization in the organization, so that everybody, it doesn't matter which doctor is working on them, they all follow the same protocol.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for the inputs. Now I'm taking the demo even more seriously, Rashid.
Yeah, we already saw another example around a similar score for maybe for onboarding patient onboarding that in a previous live sessions in the key group. Um, I didn't recall exactly the session name. So um, so it's about collecting those data. So DMN, so it's a visual notation. The rounded elements here are the inputs. So we need those inputs, and the squared elements are the actual decisions. So here we have couple intermediate decisions to calculate before figuring out the risk of readmission. So let's look into that. Look into that here. So I found that model somewhere in the community, and I will just import it. I didn't build it myself, so I find it. So, and this is the cool stuff with DMN. So it's a portable standard that you can reuse. So here is my model. I have the different inputs with the different types of those inputs. For instance, here the list of conditions are from type list of conditions, and list of conditions are defined here. So list of condition is a list of condition, and the condition here uh, is defined here, and there is actually the different condition that we take into account in the model. And so we use those input to do the different various calculation here in decision tables and other things, and then in order to figure out the top level decisions, which is the risk of readmission. So um, let's actually change this model. Actually, this model does not take into account the fact of the COVID condition. So let's add a new condition here that we'll call COVID-19. So we have it here. And so this is what actually a business analyst or an expert, medical expert, can do. It's a matter of learning this notation, and he's set, and he can create any types of decision services. When we offer multiple tools to do so. So I'm using the online editor to do it. Um, so I've added this condition to the list, and then oh, there's something missing. So here I'll be using. I will be using a knowledge model that I cannot see. I don't know why. Let me zoom out. No. Okay, I'll re-import it again. Yeah. Sorry about that. The lay score is this one, the latest. Oh, okay. Okay, the model is not the last one. Okay, so if the model is missing missing a BPM here. Yeah, just give me a second to figure out what happened. Okay, this one. Yeah. Okay, I'll skip. I will skip this. I don't know what happened. I cannot re-import the model with the BPM.
But
So
will you share the DMN if we want to try it on other tooling like Business Central in JBPM, or once this gets fixed on the online tooling?
yeah, I'll do it right away on the other tooling. So I'll copy
Yes.
the
Thank you.
model here.
Yeah, it's
I'm using something.
there's someone on the chat. They said, "I believe this is called the demo effect." Indeed, the demo gods are over here right now, looking at you, Rashid. I can get the link to the repo later to share here. Okay.
Yeah. So okay. Let me see. Let me open it here. Maybe the BKM appears here. I don't know with the online. No, there's no BKM. Okay, I'll try to run it anyhow.
Mm-hmm. So now what you're doing there? You're starting Quarkus on dev mode.
Yeah, so I'm deploying the model. So I try to. The idea was to change it, but I will deploy it as it is. Show you how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So waiting for it to deploy. Okay. All right. Getting errors again. Let me see if it works. Last 88.
You have process automation started. Oh, you checked the
Yeah.
API. Oh.
So I have it here deployed as a service. So let's try it. So the first endpoint will give you the actual DMN model, and this the second one is to run it. So here we need to provide the length of stay. Let's say 5 days. Admitted through emergency, true, list of conditions. Okay, we have this condition, and the number of time he was admitted in emergency in the last 6 months. Let's keep it to 0 and execute. So yeah.
So here we would have, for example, a decision service that can be deployed independently from the rest of the applications. And then the other components on the architecture could interact via REST. And this decision service is based mostly on a DMN file, right? That brings all the logic from the use case. Is that correct?
Yes, it's correct. Yeah, I don't know. So there's a missing part in my models. Actually, there's missing a BKM that do the calculation based on the morbidity. That's why I'm getting this error. Yeah, I don't know how it's dropped here. What we can do is we can create it together and show you how it works.
Yeah, what I
So
was going to say that's really important to notice that we might gloss over as we run through this, because it didn't work. We saw it actually the same artifact, the same DMN file was brought into two completely different editor environments and edited and run. So that speaks to the standardization and the accessibility, frankly, of doing this, not even as a developer, but as a business analyst. So a lot of these organizations, by abstracting away the decision management from, a mainline code or another type of programming, you're giving the analysts in the business the capability to implement decisions and maintain their own, um, revision control of those decisions themselves. So that's really powerful.
Yeah.
Indeed. Yes.
So I'll just add one condition here, the one that we have in the example, just to demonstrate how it works. So sorry about that. Um, I'll add this condition here. Add it.
So while you are creating it, so for those who are not so used with DMN, the BKM, which is the piece of the DRD that Rashid is creating now, is a piece of reusable logic. So here is where he can put this logic, and then he can use the same logic in different decision nodes if needed. So you have created a comorbidity score right there, okay?
Yeah. So here I've added it. Let me copy it. Download. Stop the server.
So instead of editing inside VS Code, you can keep on going, Rashid. You just went to the online editor that is available at dmn.new. You added the BKM, downloaded it. Now you are adding it to the actual project that is running on your machine with Quarkus.
I can. I could modify it directly here. So here I have my BKM created that I created on the online editor with this only one value, and here I need to specify that it's a number.
I think this is interesting because if we have organizations who like to work on the open source space, they can actually start sharing and contributing to this, right, Mark?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's very easy to get involved with the upstream community, and do what most people do, which is initially you just download a lot of stuff and check it out, get familiar with it, and then you can start contributing slowly over time.
Okay.
Let's see how it goes, Rashid.
Yes.
So here you're trying Cogito, right?
Yes. So I'm
Awesome.
trying Cogito, our serverless way of doing things.
Oh, it's broken.
I don't know. This one is it's different. It's a different error.
Okay, let's try it out then.
Up. Let's try it again. Try out. 2 days. And execute. Yeah. So here I have the my LACE score, which is with a risk of readmission, moderate risk of readmission. So the LACE score is 7, which means that the readmission rate is moderate. So we can look into here. If the LACE score is between 5 and 9, the readmission rate is moderate. Okay. All right. So let's carry on. Hope the other part of the demo will work smoother than this. Before going to the next enabler, you can there's a QR code here. You can pause the video and go to this link here to learn more about a customer success story around CDS for decision management. So Northwell Health is one of the biggest healthcare provider in the state of New York, and they are use Red Hat technology for that. So we talked about rules. So what we consider as knowledge-based CDS. There's another types of models, that predictive models, which are created automatically from a process of machine learning. So those can be used alongside with rules, so we can combine both. In order to mitigate the drawbacks of the predictive models, which are subject to bias and not not easy to audit and explain, and combining them with rules would offer this offer you a better way to do explainable AI and to do auditing, which is very important in healthcare. So there's two ways to do this predictive decision modeling or decision automation. So there's a job done by data scientists and within a discovery or machine learning phase using Open Data Hub in order to train models using data, clinical data, which are anonymized. The demo that I will be showing you is using X-ray images to detect pneumonia to detect pneumonia and to automatically diagnostic doing the automatically the diagnosis. So we can use those models with those predictive models within the PMML format. So the PMML stands for predictive model and markup language, that we can embed rules or DMN rule, and there will be a more end-to-end in a standardized approach. So the next demo is about this X-ray analysis.
Me again, as usual, interrupting you. So one thing, could you go back to the previous slide? I would like to ask Mark about the persona of the clinical informaticist, because we all know about data scientists, but people who are not in the specific pillar of the healthcare sector might not know who this person actually needs to do in their daily jobs. So could you just let me know a little bit more about this person, Mark?
Sure. So clinical informaticist is usually, interestingly, they're usually not working for IT. They're usually working for a clinical line of business or a line of business in general. And they're usually most of the ones that I've met used to be a clinician, like they used to be a nurse or they used to be a physician's assistant, and they really got enamored with technology, or they really wanted to use technology to kind of make things better for patients. So these are people that have kind of the dual knowledge base of the clinical caregiver kind of role that they had done in the past, and then they know the data and the technology really, really well. And so they kind of bring those two worlds together. And what this technology does for them, which is really great, is it kind of puts the ability to, as I said before, kind of make the decisions on them and abstract away that capability. So what that in effect does is it keeps it closer to the patient, keeps it closer to the point of care. So you don't have all these cycles to go through to roll out a new decision. They just go do it.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay, Rashid, now you can move forward. Thank you, Mark.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Mark. So this next video, this next demo is about showcasing a CI/CD pipeline or a pipeline of machine learning and uh, and predictive analysis of X-rays to detect pneumonia. So here we will collect images and then automatically doing an assessment of those data using an AI model. And then when that model scores with a high level of fidelity the risk of or the diagnosis of pneumonia, then we will put that image in a certain bucket, and if not, we will trigger a manual assessment of first we're going to anonymize the X-ray and then trigger a manual assessment of that image. So the manual assessment will happen with the second enabler within a clinical process that require two radiologists to do an assessment and a second opinion if needed on the X-ray. So let me start this demo here. Here. So all this demo is running on an OpenShift. So here I have an image server, and then I have an image generator that will pick randomly images, X-ray images from this server, and feed them to a queue here, a Kafka queue here, and this would trigger, will span a risk assessment model which is deployed as a serverless here. So as you see here, there is no pods running for the image generator. I'll do that manually, and once I do that, this action, the fact that images arrive on the this Kafka queue will create pods that will do the the assessment of those images. And if the pneumonia is detected with a high fidelity or a high score, we will send it to a particular bucket, and if not, we will trigger here a process to do this manual assessment. So let's start generating images here. So my image generator is started. Opening the dashboard where I can follow up all those images. So here I have 4 instance or pods have been created, and images are starting to come within the assessment pipeline. So as you can see here, the pneumonia risk assessment is processing images, and if we go back to the number of pods here, we can see that there's 2 pods running.
I just wanted to add real quick, Rashid, that
Yes.
all of this instrumentation that you're seeing in OpenShift is out of the box functionality. So, the inclusion of Grafana, the inclusion of some of these different tools, these are all operators in the OpenShift marketplace. So there's very little that you have to do. It's a very light touch environment to get something like this up and running. So that's important for you and your organizations if you're trying to show a proof of concept to get something done, get something improved. You can get all this running in a very short time.
Yes. So, this is just to show you how to use predictive models. So the predictive models is used here within the risk assessment, and that assessment will trigger if the certainty is less than 80%. Another process that we're gonna see in the next demo. So again, Mark spoke a little bit about this customer that use predictive modeling to do sepsis detection. So if you want to check it out, use the QR code here. So the second enabler is process and case management. So we offer cover a large spectrum of process types, from straight through to human intensive and case management as well. So straight through and human intensive are more imperative, prescriptive sequence of activity, and case management is a more declarative and structured and adaptive way of running processes. So the kind of process that we can manage here is automatic laboratory tests, ordering, doing claim processing, automatic claim. Every automatic process can be can fit here. Human intensive is processes that require, besides automatic service calls, human interactions falls in this category, like doing purchase request or medical workforce support, same as the example that I will be showing you in the next demo, doing this manual assessment. So we require 2 human interventions in order to figure out that if the X-ray is about pneumonia or not. And the last type of processes that offer most flexibility is the case management. So things like patient onboarding and offboarding, personalized patient care, investigation solutions. So those are the kind of process that we can build there. So I've talked about BPM Plus Health. So it's initiative that use open standards to provide artifacts built with BPMN and CMMN so BPMN for processes and CMMN for case management. So they offer artifacts like this one that is built on this open standard BPMN in order to document, not only document, but provide a way to automatically execute clinical processes. So we have an example here. So the process start with a gateway here, where we need, depending on the condition, there is a specific workflow of activities that needs to be done. And so here we will trigger a sub process, and that sub process is defined here. So BPMN is not really an executable model, unlike DMN, which, as you said, as I showed you earlier, you pick a model, you model it anywhere, and you can execute it from in a different within different vendors. BPMN require, besides the modeling part, an implementation phase. So bear in mind that modeling, it's only 1/3 of the job. So here I have my X-ray manual assessment process. So when I receive an X-ray, I will extract the payload from that X-ray, and the first radiologist will do an assessment. So manual assessment, if we'll check that X-ray image, and decide if it's pneumonia or no pneumonia here. And if a second option is needed, then a second radiologist will do the job. I mean, do the second check. Okay, so let me show you that. Audio. So so here I'm logging into a UI where a radiologist will have a bucket list of tasks to work on. So here, the first radiologist will have a task of X-ray images to analyze. So I will pick up this one, for instance. I will open the link, look into the image, and say that there is no pneumonia here, and I'll ask for a second opinion. I complete the task, and then so another radiologist will log in. And then pick up that task, start it, and check the image again, and then confirm that there is no pneumonia here. So we complete the process. So this is an example of human interaction around a clinical process. Same here, you can check this success story using this QR code that are using our solution to create that have used our solution to migrate old processes into a new platform using our solutions. So the third enabler.
Rashid,
Yes.
I'm really sorry to interrupt you. I will ask you just to do a quick overview on this one because we are on top of the hour. So I think we won't have time for the demo on this one.
No, for this one, I will give pointers to other demos and videos. So there's no actual live demo for this. So the last enabler is the resource planning and optimization. The third capability in our offering. And you already saw a lot of videos around OptaPlanner and what OptaPlanner can do. So the idea in the context of healthcare is to reduce the cost of care, for instance, or to improve the patient health or the quality of care. using the different resources we found in healthcare, like doctors, nurse, beds, ambulance, different medical equipments. Time and budget can be resources, and apply some constraints. Constraints are the working hours of those doctors and nurses, the skills and affinity of those doctors and nurses, and logistic conflicts. For instance, in a bed, you cannot assign the same assign a 10 years old boy with a much older person in the same room, for instance. Those kind of constraints that you can take into account. So the first link I would like to share with you is this demo around medical staff rostering in the context of the COVID fight. So, matter of fact, this has been we've worked on this kind of toolings with governmental organization in the United States. The second one, and it's about the vaccination appointment scheduling. A very, very interesting demo as well, and I invite you to watch. And the last one is about hospital bed planning. So we have as well couple partners or customer that embed our optimization engine to provide solutions to do doctor and nurse scheduling and rostering. So the first one is Equinia. And then the second one is Actions that have almost the same tools, and hospitals in Belgium are already using it. Okay.
Brave Rashid.
I'm sorry about the bad luck with the first demo.
It's okay. It's okay. The only thing I expect from you is that you share this DMN file somewhere that we can look at it and can try it out later on top of Cogito and Quarkus. And look at all the details of this use case for the late scoring. And I think it's good to see how we can actually link these technologies that brings business people together with technical folks, because we are moving forward fast with technology. But like Mark mentioned, that this is one of the sectors that are most behind, most late on these upgrades. I think this is a good way to bring them closer, right?
Yeah.
You were on mute.
Oh,
I encourage you to look at the organizations that we mentioned, because they have, literally dozens of practical examples of implementing various different clinical pathways in these healthcare organizations, and you can start with that. You don't have to start from scratch.
I think that's awesome, because we can actually grab that and then just change what we need, right?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, awesome. Sounds awesome. So guys, if you have any links that you want to share, let me know. I'll put it on the video description after we wrap up. We'll check if I can also get these slides shared on the speaker deck for Key, that I will put the link here too. We usually have all the KieLive sessions decks there, so you can refer to the videos and everything that the guys mentioned here. And that's it. Rashid, Mark, I really appreciate your time. Hey, Davi, how are you? We have people here watching us. I mean, of course, we have people here watching us, but people who are always in here. So, yes, Davi, so the slides will be on this speaker deck that I shared, the link. And you'll be able to find it there in a couple of minutes, okay?
Yes, I'll add the DMN model as well, the correct version of that DMN model, so people can play with it.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Rashid. Thank you, Mark. Have a great day. Bye-bye. Guys, for the next Key session, we will do it in an alternate hour, because we will have it on, we will have a folk from Japan. So we will have it happening on the Japan-friendly time zone and APAC in general. So Australia, Asia, those guys. Hey, thank you, David. So those guys, on the next week, we will learn how we can troubleshoot Drew's applications. So we'll deep dive with a guy who's a super expert on Drew's. And he's today a core engineer, and he's been working with Drew's like since forever. So stay tuned. If you cannot join for the live session, you'll be able to also watch the recording. Okay. So thank you and see you next week. Bye bye.